Now, the United Nations is set to widen the official famine zones in Somalia. Some 12 million people are facing starvation in the Horn of Africa. One of the world's biggest aid groups is painting an even bleaker picture of the crisis. Médecins Sans Frontières says aid may not reach most victims, no matter how much money is pledged. The comment comes as Somali leaders meet in the capital to discuss reconciliation. Well, earlier I spoke to Nuradin Dirie, a specialist on the Horn of Africa. I asked him about the significance of this meeting in Somalia and the warning from Médecins Sans Frontières.
The discussion in Mogadishu is very limited in nature. It is a discussion among the TFG and its affiliates about a specific constitutional task that hasn't been done, and they need to do it within 1 year. But it doesn't extend as far as to include finding a political solution for Somalia. For that to happen, the participation needs to be much wider and more inclusive, and all Somali stakeholders should be there. And unfortunately, that's not the case at the moment.
What are you making, Nuradin, of this extraordinary statement by Médecins Sans Frontières that charities must now admit that much of Somalia just can't be helped? I mean, why is MSF saying this now, and how surprised are you by this statement?
Well, I'm not surprised at all, because the aid agencies are divided into those who are politically implicated in the political situation in Somalia, like the UN and the others, and those who act non-political. And because of the situation, the political situation that's going on in Somalia, some can access all places in Somalia and can negotiate their way within different places held by different groups, but others simply cannot do it. So it's very interesting that in Al-Shabaab controlled area in the south, it can be accessed by faith groups, both Christian and Muslim, that are not interested in the political situation, and they're not using aid agencies as a political tool. But others, like the United Nations with much resources, cannot reach there. And that's what the situation looks like in Somalia now.
Yeah, but I mean, how worrying is this statement by Médecins Sans Frontières? I mean, they're basically saying that aid agencies are conning the public into believing that help is getting to everyone in Somalia, when in fact it's not.
It's not getting everywhere. They can't reach places in Kenya and in Ethiopia and in the capital Mogadishu. But in the vast majority of the area where the epicenter of the famine is, it is in the south of Somalia, where Al-Shabaab group controls. And those who can negotiate with Al-Shabaab can reach there, and unfortunately they are a number of organizations. But the bigger organizations with bigger resources like the United Nations cannot there for the political reasons that they got themselves into.
OK, so let me ask you finally, what needs to be done then? You've painted some of the challenges, but how can these agencies get by all that to get the aid to the people who need it on the ground?
First and foremost, in Somalia, they really need to separate between the political actions that are going on in Somalia and the aid agencies. Aid should never be used by politics. But that's a very complicated situation, which, we can discuss for a whole day, because organizations like the UN has a political mandate. They have to do the political situations, they have to deal with it, but at the same time they have a humanitarian mandate as well. And separating between the two and seeing beyond this paradox is very difficult in the minds of the political actors in Somalia. So a statement may be, to be very frank about, we do have elements of us, within the UN that deals with the political situation, but at the same time they have organizations like the WFP, UNHCR that purely are humanitarian, and separating between the two, I think, is the battle ahead for the aid agencies in Somalia.